Hi everyone, welcome back to our Azure DevOps learning series. On the last session, we talked about the conditions that has been used to make your pipeline in more control, how you want to be execute your stages at what particular conditions. Today, we are going to be move a next step on how you want to store your artifacts. Importantly, artifact is something which has been generated by a CI pipeline and consumed by the CD pipeline for a deployment. So today we will learn on two different type of artifacts. One is inline artifact, which having a scope for the pipeline perspective, that within a pipeline you are going to create an artifact, store as part of the pipeline, and then use right there for the deployment perspective or the corresponding pipeline. However, if you want to create a reusable artifact with the different versioning of the artifact, like the NuGet package or Maven or the other package that you want to be used. So how to use the Azure Artifact in order to create artifact, store all the version, and as and when needed, you can reuse the artifacts. So let's jump onto the example of what is the difference between these two type of artifact and how you can create it, how you can code it in your pipeline. I kept and used the similar C# project. Not much changes onto the solution, the same project. Only thing, if you can see now, start looking onto the CI pipeline where the solution is same, the build platform, build configuration is the same. I have given specifically for a inline artifact, I have given the name as artifact name as drop, a variable that has been created which we are going to be used further for a inline artifact to be generated. Followed by, I've created two more variables. One is feed name. That name you have to be pick it up when you have to create a Azure Artifact feed. Feed is something that has been created onto the Azure DevOps side and which has been used to store your artifact. Followed by the build version. We'll talk about later on what is the use of the build version to make and store multiple versioning of your artifact. So let's jump. If you can see these, all are the same step of NuGet install, NuGet authenticate that is needed for the Azure artifacts to authenticate, followed by the same your solution to be restored, your solution to be built, followed by executing the test cases that has been created, store it in order to make that what you want to be published. You have to copy that file to make sure it can be ready for the publishment, and then this is the task. In order to publish your artifact as part of the pipeline, publish pipeline artifact task needs to be used. What this task will do, it will pick up whatever be the artifact that has been generated on the previous step after the build, and then this is the location and your artifact name. I will show you the artifact name that we have given on the top as a variable with the drop. When the pipeline is going to be executed, the artifact has been stored with the artifact name as drop onto the artifact pipeline artifact, followed by whatever be the directories or executable that has been created after the build. On the next one, here, in order to use the Azure Artifactory, we have to be pack over CS project first, along with the build output that has been created. So if you can see, we have used the NuGet command only. with the command as pack, where it related to your CS project, followed by the build configuration, the output directory, like where the artifact is been available. And then if we need to be maintain the version, then these variables are needed, else these are all optional. You don't need it as well. Next one, once the package has been done, which means like you are ready to publish your artifact now, and that can be reusable as and when needed. For that particular one, again, the NuGet command only, but instead of pack, this time the command is push, and then followed by your artifact tree details. Okay. Before I will execute this particular pipeline, let me show you how the Azure artifacts will look like. So if you can see, this is the option Azure Artifact right there on the left side menu that needs to be used. And let me jump to the artifact. Here, when you will move to the Azure Artifact, initially there might be a chance that you have an artifact being created, or there might be a chance there is no artifacts. If you can see from the top, by default, one artifact feed get created for your organization. However, you can create a new artifact or a new feed either at a project scope level, which is just within your project. You don't want to use the same artifact to go out of your project. Then you have to be select the artifact tree feed as project scope. However, if you want to reuse the same artifact with the organization or within the different project, that time the option is to create a feed within an organization. So again, as per the requirement, the artifact tree feed has been created. So for this demo, I have choose the project scope feed in order to store my artifact. Okay. And once you create the artifact feed, which can be done from here, see, once you create this one, you have to provide the permission for your pipeline or the user so that they can publish the artifact to your artifactory feed. How you can do it? You can select the new feed that has been created, go to the settings, and then on the permissions. If you want to publish this one, your feed permission or the role should either be the owner or a publisher. However, let me show you, there are few more where you just want to be show it to the team one. Then these are the one, reader, upstream reader, but these two are the one which can be used for the publishment and promote to the artifact. Okay. Once this permission has been done, once your feed has been ready, now let's try to execute this CI pipeline in order to generate artifact, and then in order to store those artifacts to one internal artifact tree, which is scoped to your pipeline, and then we use second is to store the artifact onto the Azure Artifact Tree feed to maintain the version, to reuse within a project or different projects as well. So let's see and trigger the pipeline. So I'm going to be trigger my pipeline, which I have already been created with the name as artifact example. The same YAML has been used. So if I can trigger the pipeline, and in the meanwhile this pipeline will go, let me show you the one which has been executed just before this one. Now, so you can see with all those steps, there is a one task that we have created with the publish pipeline artifact, and the name that we have given to the publish pipeline artifact is drop. So let's see, if you can see here, there is one artifact that has been produced. Click on this artifact and that will show, see, the name that has been given is the parent name of your artifact within a pipeline that you are going to be see how it get created. And then again, based upon the folder structure that has been there on the code base. And then if it's a code base solution that you have executed, then that particular one executable that has been created and store it here, the build output. And the second one is if we had a test case scenario, then corresponding to the test cases, all the files, all the build that has been generated. So this is what called as an pipeline artifact. Now coming back, once this has been completed, let me show you one more time the logs. If you can see the last one, it will pack the NuGet, all the build one, and then push it onto the Artifactory feed. Once this has been pushed on your project feed that has been created, you will see the two one, right? One is your code base and another is your test case perspective, that the build has been pushed. Now if you want to be use this one, you have to be just go select which particular version you want to be choose, click on the version, and then you have get the command automatically that needs to be used if you want to reuse this artifact. And as I show you here, see, if we can execute it multiple times, it will one by one create a different build number or the version number. We will talk this versioning onto our next session, and let's see the pipeline that we have triggered, whether that has been completed or not, but we will go with our versioning onto the next session. So now you can see the build has been completed, the artifact has been generated, which is inline artifact, followed by the new artifact version that has been created and pushed to my Artifactory feed. Thank you so much, and we will connect on to our next session to learn how you can make a dynamically versioning to be added for your artifact that has been generated, and then as and when needed you can use the different version for your code base if it is required. Thank you.